Bienvenidos a una nueva sesión en streaming de Barcelona Tech City. Sabéis que nuestro compromiso es en seguir poniendo foco en diferentes sectores de la economía startup, de la economía de la innovación, de la economía de la tecnología, ¿vale? Para ver cómo está impactando el COVID-19 en los diferentes sectores de nuestro entorno económico. Hoy precisamente tocamos un tema que creemos que es clave, el tema de la salud, el tema de ciencias de la vida, que tiene una vinculación directísima con lo que está pasando hoy en día a través de la crisis sanitaria. Más que nunca el foco está puesto en las ciencias de la vida, porque son grandísima parte de la solución al problema que ahora estamos conviviendo. Hoy la sesión será en inglés. El moderador será Josep Sanfeliu, que ahora le daré la palabra. Recordad que podéis hacer preguntas a través de la página web de barcelonatechcity.com/streaming o del Twitter Live, donde estamos emitiendo el live esta más que interesante actividad de hoy. Paso la palabra a Josep Sanfeliu, que será de moderador y él dirigirá toda la más que interesante conversación de hoy. Gracias.
Gracias, Barcelona Tech City. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. We have a good, interesting session today with great guests forming part of this panel. The idea is just to cover an area which is relevant, in which we all have something that has affected us in different ways. But in this case, we are not part of the problem, we are also part of the solution, because the people here today are contributing to improve the situation after this crisis. First of all, let me make a brief introduction to the guest speakers today in the panel. So Gemma Estrada is the Director of Digital Health and Technologies at Ferrer, pharmaceutical company in life sciences. Orlando Vergara is the Business Franchise Head of Neuroscience Spain at Novartis, dealing with digital health at Novartis. And Tryggvi Thorgeirsson from Iceland is joining today as the CEO and founder of Sidekick, a company which is pure digital in the area precisely of digital therapeutics in strong collaboration with the pharmaceutical industry, all involved somehow in the situation of COVID. Today we're going to just discuss how they feel the opportunities are coming up and what could be done and how has this affected their organizations and their digital strategy. But before jumping in, I'm Josep Sanfeliu. I'm the managing partner of Asabys Partners. This is a venture capital firm. I've been in pharma for some years, 12, 13 years now as an investor in private venture capital for life sciences. So it's a pleasure and honor to be moderating this panel today. And to start, I wanted to just highlight some of the developments in the last quarter. Quarter means January, February, March, which is basically where everything went bust. And obviously, under the Spanish context, March 13 was the state of alarm, but in many other countries, everything went in a different direction. But investment did keep up, and investment and activities in digital health therapeutics actually increased and augmented. So let me give you a couple of data here. So $4.5 billion, according to US data, that sources from the US VC digital health market, 4.5 billion went into the VC money into startups in digital health in the US. Only in the first quarter, Q1, that's a 41% increase in health innovation funding previous to the previous year, 2019. If we look at telemedicine, 1,818% increase in investments in telemedicine and remote patient monitoring. There's lots of data. I could, for instance, Teladoc Health, a company that's basically doing a lot of telemedicine. You probably know them because of BetterHelp. They have a platform. This company has increased its revenue in the first quarter, year over year, 41%. And now let's go to things that we can understand, whatever industry you are in. For instance, today, a platform in telemedicine in the US called Dr. Leap. 1 year ago, even months ago, it would do 1,000 consultations per day for doctors and physicians to interact with patients. 1,000 per day. Today, they're doing 100,000 per day. So the multiplication and the effect of the fact that lockdown, of the fact that digital can contribute to distance and keep us safe, and also the barriers that have probably been blown, the the fact that we cannot actually go to the doctor, but we need medical advice, has changed most of our habits as users, as patients, and that has been accelerating the opportunities for lots of industries in the healthcare life sciences space. Couple of deals that have been closed, financing deals in digital health, with $100 million rounds. I could mention a bunch of them if somebody wants to have this data in the audience, or later on I can provide the sources through Vergara of Atlantic City, but there's a lot of data around the evolution of this. And also, what about the pharmaceutical industry? Pharmaceutical industry is also going ahead with their own digital strategies. Sometimes it's about in-house programs, enhance the program, the products of their pipelines, of their franchises, and the therapy areas. Sometimes it's clinical trials enhancement to be faster in the R&D. Sometimes it's just investments to see what's there for them in the future, right? So there's a bunch of companies that in the last 6 months have done deals that are relevant. Novartis, of course, has closed a couple of deals. Achille, Sionogi in the area of mental health. You have Tsuka, Proteus, Pure Therapeutics, Novartis. These are deals that were done before COVID. But the question would be how these deals, how this strategy is going to change, or going to accelerate, or going to really modify the way the industry is dealing with all these opportunities that now it's inevitable that we're going to be dealing with digital world for therapeutics, and especially since the pharma industry has a lot to say. So with all this background, all this data, I would like just to start asking the question to the three panelists today and the members of the roundtable, starting with Gemma. The dynamic of this session will be that they will be introducing themselves. We will ask a general question. Then we will have a debate on certain topics that they arise. And at the end, like in 35 minutes more or less, the audience can send the questions to the Tech City and we will be responding. And the audience will be able to share their questions with the panelists. So Gemma, please introduce yourself and tell us what is Ferrer doing in digital health and how does that change what you were doing before and now that we're facing a new normality, a new world. How does this have changed your strategy, if any?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the question. And thank you also to Barcelona Tech City for inviting me to the panel. Very pleased to be here. So what do I do at Ferrer? I am the director of a very cool program by the name of Ferrer for Future. Within the whole innovation effort that Ferrer does, we do a little bit of everything you said. Okay, we do open innovation with biotech companies. We've been doing this for a number of years. We do also entrepreneurship so that we can, with the ideas of our own employees and the stakeholders they are in touch with, we can also kind of give a longer and more exciting life to our products, to do life cycle management in a more smart way. And more recently, only 2 years ago, we started this open innovation program in digital health, which is the platform that we use to interact with technology-based startups. So we do understand digital health as the cultural shift that empowers patients as the healthcare partners. We do not understand digital health as a jumble of technologies that are plugged into the existing processes and patient journeys of our good old healthcare systems. So it's a very exciting field to be. I arrived here from clinical trials for over 20 plus years in the pharmaceutical industry. I had been working in digital trials, and the digitization of clinical research, like that would be producing patient data flows in real time that allow you to analyze those and produce personalized engagement messages for the patients in real time so that they have a better experience as a participant in a clinical trial, a better experience on the human side of participating in a clinical trial. All of this brought me to digital health. So it all started with clinical research, but it's now broader. Now, how do we at Ferrer look at digital health, we look at it with some sort of purpose, I would say. So we have this vision that through digital health, we can help make healthcare systems more sustainable, and through this, collaborate or help reducing the inequality. So now, we look at digital health from the three avenues of sustainability. One being how, through digital health, we can reduce emissions, how we can reduce waste. This is the environmental sustainability angle. So because treatments are more personalized, so we can use less material, we produce less chemical waste, but also because patients do not have to go, you were mentioning in your introduction, the great augmentation of the increase of telemedicine during this crisis, for instance. So this is saving a lot of trips of patients to the hospitals or to the healthcare centers. So we're reducing, there is less hospital visits, or we're reducing the carbon footprint. And we are also producing much less paper. There is less paperwork involved in digital health. So from the environmental angle, we see a lot of beauty in transitioning to our investments and our energies to digital health. But also from the perspective of the social perspective, by improving patient education and empowering the patient as a care partner, we are contributing to this reduction of inequality. Also because digital health reduces costs, we look at it as a way of making it accessible to a larger amount of people. Actually, during this lockdown that we've been living through, on the 22nd of March, the World Health Organization released the strategy on digital health, and they were also making a lot of emphasis on this angle on how digital health can contribute to the reduction of inequality and the sustainability of healthcare systems. And last but not least, maybe I could mention that digital health also allows for improved accountability and therefore allows for a better governance. So from both angles, the environmental sustainability and the social sustainability, digital health is a good investment. And also for the company, I mean, for the economic profit of pharma companies or technology companies that invest in digital health. I mean, definitely digital solutions bring in new avenues of revenue, and also maybe because the scalability in the nature of digital technologies, it allows very large scalability. So it reduces also the costs eventually of marketing, and that's part of the beauty of it. So it's sustainable for the economy of the companies, it's sustainable for the environment, and also sustainable from the social standpoint.
Thank you, Gemma. I think it's the time for Orlando Vergara to introduce himself and his passionate work at Novartis, a digital therapeutic decision world.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, and thank you very much to Barcelona Tech City as well for this panel. So I'm Orlando Vergara. I'm a head of neuroscience franchise in Novartis, Spain, and also I'm one of the founders of the Neuro House, which is our neurological ecosystem that is part of the Barcelona Tech City. And I like your question, Joe, because you know what is digital and for a company like Novartis and how this COVID has accelerated this journey. I mean, let me start and let me put it in this way. I mean, we understand digital as the human ability to use and leverage the technology ecosystem to improve and extend people's life, right? Because at the end of the day, what we want as a company is to improve and extend people's life. We have been able to increase the quantity of life for many years, but it's also time to also improve our quality of life as well. And during this period of COVID-19, we have learned many things. But, you know, in the companies for many years, we have been taught to manage the constant change, right? But during the COVID, we have understood that we need to be ready to be constantly changed by the environment, but many situations that can happen every time. So I mean, this kind of thing that we have there. But as a Novartis, what we have done, first of all, we are dealing every day with physicians in the many countries that we are present all around the world. And the first thing that we wanted to do also to take care of our employees. So that was the first thing. The second thing that we have learned also is to constantly deliver all the drugs all around the world, because we need to continue to deliver the drugs. And the third piece that we have learned is that many processes that we have been focused on, particularly in digital areas, has been accelerated dramatically. So just to give you an example, our strategy, one of the 5 pillars in Novartis is go big on data and digital. And we want to do this in 3 main areas. The first one is the way how we are innovating. And we have one of the biggest investments in R&D, and what we are doing is trying to use the big amount of data. We have, just to give an idea, we have 2 million years data of patients in our database. So we need to use the digital technologies and also the artificial intelligence to try to understand what kind of information we can get from all this amount of data, and perhaps accelerate the R&D process and also to identify new digital therapeutics. This is the first piece. The second piece is the way how we are operating, right? So we need to find also efficiencies there, and the digital technologies are helping us in many, many aspects. But the last piece is the way how we are engaging with the community, the way how we are interacting with patients, the way how we are interacting with physicians. I mean, this is extremely important. There are many examples that I think we will get through that piece. And also, if I may say, one of the biggest revolution that is happening, you mentioned many reports are extremely interesting. The health systems are focusing 90% of their resources to treat symptoms and to use disease-modifying therapies, while just 10% of the resources are being used in the prevention and the cure. So I strongly believe that in the future, we will put more resources in the prevention, where digital technologies and digital health play a massive role, but also we need to move forward in the cure of certain diseases. So I mean, this is a magic moment from my perspective, but also from company perspective. And a company like Novartis, we are trying to focus in go big in digital and data, and also to invest heavily in all these kind of internal revolution to surf the wave, in digital technologies.
Great, Orlando, thank you. Also very interesting comments there. And now we are leaving the floor for Tryggvi. Tryggvi is calling in from Iceland, but also calling into the industry, if I use that word, from a different world, because you are a pure digital company dealing with the pharma challenges, helping out the pharma industry, and most importantly, helping out patients. Actually, you will tell us also about your COVID technology solution for the government of Iceland, and your deployment of this solution probably in other countries in the future. You will tell us a little bit about it, but first of all, let us know a little bit about your background and about what Sidekick does since you founded the company a couple of years ago.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, and thanks to all of you for setting this up. Pleasure to be here with you today. So yeah, my name is Tryggvi Thorgeirsson. I'm a medical doctor by training. I have a background in engineering before I went into medicine, so I always was interested in the intersection between technology and medicine. I worked as a doctor for a few years, and it really hit me every single day that I needed more scalable and more effective tools to tackle these behavioral roots. So I mean, however you look at it, 80% of healthcare costs are due to chronic lifestyle-related diseases, 68% of global deaths. But we really have been, just like Orlando said, we've been spending way too little on prevention and tackling the kind of upstream roots of these diseases. And so I became passionate about that, finding scalable ways of tackling behavioral factors, whether it's diet, physical activities, the medication management, and all of this. And so back in 2010, I put my stethoscope aside for a while, and I went to the Harvard Public Health to be precisely that, and especially focusing on what are the most efficient and effective ways of achieving lasting behavior change, because all of us know that that's difficult. I think everyone knows that, both personally and kind of as a professional. So that was my focus there in the studies. I did some research on behavioral economics as a tool for lifestyle change. It became a whole course at Harvard on that topic where I'm a guest lecturer. And at the same time, smart technology was getting more and more common, and I saw that just as kind of a perfect storm with the behavioral tools, and then these devices in people's pockets where I could have a channel into people's everyday lives, because all of us want to be able to work on our health in our everyday lives as opposed to just in institutions. So that with that combination of technology and behavioral methods, I founded Sidekick now some 6-7 years ago. And yeah, as you said, we've been working quite largely with global pharma companies. As we look at it, we are expanding therapy both in reach and impact. So by combining with traditional medical care and adding the layer of behavioral, as I said, whether it's diet, physical activity, medication management, whatever else it may be, we're able to even double the impact of that particular treatment. We started working in the cardiometabolic field, obesity, pre-diabetes, and diabetes, and the like. But now recently have expanded into many inflammatory diseases, smoking cessation, and a few other therapeutic areas. And so that's really what digital health is to me. A tool where we can scalably have positive impact on people's health and life, and allow people to be actively involved in their treatment in their everyday life, not just in the hospital.
Good, great. And tell us a little bit. Let's start the second set of questions, more specific. Tryggvi, what do you think has been, and you're in constant relationships with the life science industry, with the R&D people, with the clinical trial people, with the product managers of drugs that have been, some became generic, some are being used over the counter, I guess some under prescription and R&D. But what has been the barrier? And I would like to know if Orlando or Gemma feel different. But I was in pharma years ago, and I've been in touch with you guys in the pharma industry for these years. I've been in digital health like for 4 or 5 years as an investor. But what have been the barriers? So COVID is the excuse. Now, all in this room, if you call it like that, I'm sure are happy now that the budgets are being expanded and your bosses are really, let's go. But what has been the barrier? Tryggvi, from your view, you're a newcomer, pushing, and now you have a chance. I mean, all the industry has a big chance.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, first of all, it's really, I think, interesting to be working as a small company, a startup company. I mean, we were 10 people when we started working with Pfizer, which is, I think, over 100,000 people company. And of course, we've been growing through the years now, but still very tiny in comparison with these big global pharma companies. And so first of all, just the kind of differences of a small, agile company that can pivot and kind of be nimble and agile, working with these big organizations. And I mean, as we know, a pharma company is many things. You have the medical units, the commercial units, the digital innovation labs, the regulatory and compliance, and we have to navigate all of this and make sure that we kind of understand the different incentives. I mean, the medical side is looking at things a little bit differently than the commercial side. All of them, of course, thinking about patient outcomes, number one. So that's really where that combines. But then you have different incentives, I guess. And then the regulatory and compliance, where you have to think about things like pharmacovigilance and engaging directly with patients and just a host of things. So obviously, it's a highly regulated environment, and it has to be. So I mean, these are many of the things you could call them barriers, but kind of just tasks to navigate and make sure that work before you can launch and scale up solutions like this. So that's really what we're doing every day, and to me, I absolutely love the synergy. I mean, I'm a doctor. I'm used to having great medication that improve people's lives, and I know what pharma represents in terms of deep industry knowledge, deep connections into payers, providers, the whole ecosystem. And just the depth of the clinical knowledge and all of that. So working with these partnerships and then bringing the innovation and the digital side. I mean, to me, it's a match made in heaven, really, and a lot of interesting synergies to be had there.
Good. What about you, Orlando? Don't tell me you've been doing this very easily for the last years. And nothing has changed because pharmas are tough industries. But tell us about your views on this.
Yes, it's tough. I mean, it depends on what you see that. When you have a prism, it depends which angle do you see, okay? So I think one of the main reasons is the cultural transformation. It's not a matter of process, it's not a matter of power. It's just the cultural transformation. You need to have leaders that are able to manage ecosystems. So we have been, for many years, looking at ourselves internally, because the business model was simple, easy. You develop drugs, you sell the drugs, you deliver drugs. But the most important thing is that we need to put out of the equation the product. And we need to put in the middle of the equation, how can we improve the patient outcomes? How can we help patients that are suffering from many diseases altogether to improve the outcomes, right? In order to make that piece, you need to transform your culture. It's not a digital transformation. It's a cultural transformation that pushed the boundaries of the innovation. And I strongly believe that was one of the key elements. So we have now a very interesting culture, which is inspired, curious, and unbossed culture within Novartis. These allow us to try new things, to push ourselves in the limits where we never touched before. And I strongly believe that was on the piece. And the other piece is that we are living in a Mediterranean country. I mean, we love to touch things, right? So people need to see, to believe. And when you're fear about your health, your life, this is an engine of the transformation. So the nice thing I strongly believe is that if leader not necessarily needs to be in the understand ecosystem, or you can be part of an ecosystem, right? So this is the new way how health needs to be managed. Putting in the center the outcome of a patient suffering from disease, but we need to transform our culture and try to define these new ecosystem leaders that we need in the health systems.
Thank you, Orlando. Gemma, is COVID transforming your let's say, support internally or opening new doors? How is it changing things?
Yeah, it is. May I add a little bit? Before I jump into your question, may I add a little bit to this relationship startup corporate? Because it's a question I love, and a lot has been said already. I mean, the culture, as Orlando was pointing out, is essential. I mean, but if you look at it from the outside, and everybody says, okay, in this kind of partnership, startups bring in the technology knowledge and the creativity, and then the corporation brings in the therapeutic area experience and the network and the market access. So if this is apparently from the outside so complementary, how come there is so much friction when you bring in startups into your innovation gardens, into your innovation labs, into your transformation programs? There's always friction. And I think that of course, there is this cultural thing about startups feeling that they waste their time on endless meetings because the corporate culture is so slow and there is so much paperwork. Of course, there is a little bit of that. It is essential to find effective communication channels, not challenges, but channels for effective communication between both parties. But what is really, really key is to have that corporates that start doing open innovation with technology startups, they need to have a well-defined operational model. For us, what we have encountered in this Ferrer for Future program, this is key. So partnership management needs to be in place with very clear KPIs. There needs to be friendliness. Corporates have to be friendly to startups. So maybe there is collaboration models that do not involve taking equity from the start. Maybe you can just invest in the common interest, invest in piloting the startup's solution in a use case that is of interest for the startup, and then reaching a commercial agreement. So maybe some of these solutions bring in, I don't know, more collaborative environments and less friction. That's what I wanted to say from our experience. A one-size-fits-all partnerships does not exist. So the learning for the corporates is that each and every collaboration with each and every new startup in the program needs to be done, needs to be tailor-made, needs to be done purposely for that circumstance, depending on what is the maturity of the solution, the maturity level of the solution that the startup is bringing in. There's different avenues inside the company. And I could talk about this for very long, but that's not the question you wanted me to ask, but yet. Let's go to the COVID thing, right? So your specific question is, what have we done in this new, how have we as Ferrer, as pharma company, adapted to this new situation, right? That was your question. Okay. Maybe the first one, I think Orlando mentioned it earlier, the first answer would be, how have we adapted our manufacturing and logistics? So we have repurposed one of our manufacturing lines for the production of hydroalcoholic gel bottles. So that was something that happened in our plant here in Asabys, and we are distributing those through the Catalan Health Institute. We have reinvigorated the manufacturing of our not COVID-related drugs, like we sell Helocatil. This is our paracetamol, for instance. You can imagine there's been a huge demand for paracetamol during these past weeks. So we have reinvigorated the manufacturing of that, of course, without damaging or without spoiling the production of all the other drugs that Ferrer produces for chronic conditions and that continued to be needed by the patients. So we have contributed in different ways. We have imported some point-of-care tests also as a philanthropy to be distributed, to be given without cost to the government. And then in our R&D, of course, there's been a lot of adaptations. We have needed to adapt all of our ongoing clinical trials, you can imagine, adapting protocols, reducing the number of visits of patients to the hospitals, also ensuring that the investigational product was delivered so that there would be no discontinuations in drug compliance. So a lot of this has been done. Also, we have supported, as a company, we have supported international clinical trials on COVID treatment. And then with regards to sales, of course, our sales reps could not, during this time, visit the sites, visit the healthcare professionals. So they've been, and actually this was something that was already in the plan, but it would have happened otherwise, maybe 1 year from now. It has happened now, the transitioning all the commercial operations and processes to digital. It has happened now because the situation has been a massive accelerator, but this was already in the plan. So there's been huge training of the sales reps to put in place these new commercial processes, skipping the face-to-face contacts and moving more towards the effective digital interactions. And then a lot has been done in the area of philanthropy, like We had some filters that could be put into ventilators. These were given to Hospital Vallebron, if I am correct. Also, we've done some donations for the crowdsourcing initiatives at Hospital Clínic, Hospital Vallebron, and Universitat de Barcelona to develop the new ventilators, the new emergency ventilators that in the end, they were certified by the Spanish agency and they were produced by SEAT, the car manufacturing company, in their facilities. There's been different donations to Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, Save the Children. There's been a Banque d'Aliments, the Red Cross. There's been a number of donations. And one which is very cool and is not pharma related, but is very idiosyncratic to Ferrer because of our president. There's been a campaign on creativity and education in this philanthropic field, right? So there is a number of music students at the Liceu Conservatory who are financed by, whose careers are financed by Ferrer. And now in this time of COVID, a new YouTube channel has been put in place so to share music and creativity also. I don't know if that answers your question. Of course, we've worked home-based, we've transitioned to smart work with a lot of success, I have to say, very successfully transitioned to smart work. The company had been equipped with all the tools to share, to build documents in a collaborative manner, to share documents, to run teleconferences. So the use of Teams, the use of Planner, all these were already quite natural. So the transition for office workers has been okay. And for manufacturing plant workers, I think I already explained all the adaptations were put in place, the distancing, the masking, all of this was put in place, the temperature measurements, and so on. Changes and so on.
Gemma, thank you very much for those very specific examples of things that you've been put in place, either as an organization or for specific programs for COVID. But let me ask you now, all of you, probably in a shorter format of answers, since we still have like 7 minutes before the audience can start asking questions. But you seem to be working with the situation, but the delivery sometimes goes, obviously it's patient-centric. COVID is affecting us worldwide in a massive way and in different ways. Unfortunately, there's a lot yet to be known. But how are you experiencing your organizations and COVID with all of these opportunities, but dealing with the public or the private? So I guess Novartis, in your approach in the US, where there's not such a universal care, but even in Barcelona, people are buying with their own cash money because they are just worried about what's going on with the illness. They're buying paracetamol. Gemma was talking about it, even if it's not reimbursed, because you have to take care of your own health. And all these programs have a public sometimes approach, which is harder to try to implement. And there, Sidekick has a good experience with the government of Iceland. But tell us a little bit how you see COVID and your solutions and your strategies in digital health, public sector or public healthcare versus private insurance companies also related. Tryggvi, you want to explain your public initiative with the government of Iceland?
Yes, sure, thanks. Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of the dynamics between the public and private, I think that's definitely an interesting question. I mean, we as a company, as I said, we've been navigating this digital health landscape, looking at who are the individuals or organizations most ready to adapt digital health solutions. There's a reason we started working with pharmaceutical companies. We see that they are a little bit ahead of the curve on average in terms of investing and having that cultural attitude, like Orlando was explaining, kind of being ready to adopt this. So that's been really good for us in general. But then now more and more we see that the public entities are maturing and opening up, and obviously COVID is really expediting that. So yeah, here in Iceland we offered our help to the emergency authorities. They picked up on that offer. And I mean, it's been amazing. It just in 2 weeks we were able to do all of the things that normally would have taken 6 or more months. All of the regulatory agencies, the national hospital, integrating with their electronic health record system, integrating into the clinical practice. Everything is, of course, on just highly accelerated pace. And I think everything that we've been learning and working in the private, more of the private setting has helped us there. So yeah, with COVID here in Iceland, basically we've integrated. I mean, we're a small island nation, so we have a centralized call center where anyone with COVID at home in home isolation gets access to remote monitoring, and they can use our app to report on the symptoms. And then the clinical team can remotely interact with them, send them videos and explanations, how to do breathing exercises. And then we help risk classify and identify who needs to be brought in for whatever that might be. And it's been really nice to see the effects of this remote monitoring system here in Iceland is that we have a very low proportion of people that actually end up in the ICU. Only 1.5% end up in the ICU because we're able to act earlier on in the process. And of those who go into the ICU, the mortality rate is only 15%, which again is relatively quite low. And I think this is a nice example of also prevention. It's not primary prevention, but we can prevent someone who is dehydrated at home. We can prevent them from going into renal failure and act 2 days earlier if we are remotely monitoring. So it's quite amazing to see that, and it's been wonderful to see a public system, a national hospital, the authorities being able to react so fast with the crisis. And we're seeing similar steps due to COVID now, that these public systems are acting in an accelerated phase. Everyone knew this was coming, but this has really pushed things forward quite extensively.
Yes, just I think this in these 2 ways, public and private, I will put another element, which are the universities, right? Because when we talk in life science, it's extremely important to be connected in this triangle, And in a situation like COVID, I mean, I remember when I was very young, I went to the Amazon forest, and I was watching 10 little child without shoes playing soccer, and I wanted to give a pair of shoes to one because I got one in my pack. And I remember the person that was together with me said, "No, don't destroy their equilibrium," And the lesson that I learned was, if you want to help, you need to know how to help, right? In this kind of situation in COVID, we need to be aware that these kind of situations, only working together, can be solved. So as a Novartis, what we have done, for example, through Sandoz, our biosimilar unit, we have been working together with the health authorities to speed up many regulatory processes due to the COVID, right? So this is the way where we need to go. There are many other examples believe that when you need to deliver drugs, you need to work together with others. Another example that we were discussing time ago is, for example, we have an insoles project to measure the multiple sclerosis diseases, right? So this is a triangle together with the private, with public, and with the university to prevent a disease. So, but also in this equation, we need to put not only public, private, and university, but also patient association, because at the end of the day, there are the end user, and we will be patients one day. So I strongly believe that we need to create this ecosystem, and the partnership in these cases of COVID are extremely valuable. So, and I mean, we have seen several examples, working together. The home delivery of the drugs to the patient during the COVID has been a together approach with pharma industry, also with Novartis, to ensure that the patient get the drugs to their homes. So I mean, it was another example of how we have been able to accelerate many processes. And I strongly believe that's the future, the collaboration.
Good, thank you. Gemma, just to close this round before we give the audience the chance to ask questions.
All right, very little to add. I'm amazed at the example that Tryggvi explained in Iceland. This is a wonderful case of where you show the integration with the healthcare system at such an intimate level in such a short time, so few days, in a matter of weeks. I also agree with what Orlando said. It's partnering, it's collaborating. It's not one or the other. It's not public or private. It's the collaboration. So before the COVID crisis, we were always thinking like, well, healthcare systems and pharma companies, we have to align a little bit better. We have to jointly develop those economic models for payment in a value-based healthcare environment. We have to develop those economic models for payment of the services. Imagine what would be services, maybe a digital layer of services between the drug, the treatment the patient takes at home, and the healthcare professional or the caregiver or any other stakeholder. Well, now this COVID situation has massively accelerated this, and I can only congratulate Iceland for the very good example. We here in Spain, I have to admit, we're lagging a little behind, and because of a matter of interoperability of electronic healthcare records. I mean, we haven't sorted this out yet. I suppose that our country will now, after living through this COVID situation, invest more energy in making the electronic healthcare records of all the regions within Spain interoperable with each other, and therefore we will be able, as a larger region, to take a more consistent and integrated and connected approach.
Good. So thank you for your opinions, which actually it has been a very interesting set of positionings from your different perspectives. And the metric I can use is that I have tons of questions here from the audience that I need to convey to you with the limited time we have, which is 10 minutes, roughly. But let's just been reading through some of the questions. For instance, for Tryggvi, I guess Barcelona Tech City is it's a cradle of entrepreneurs and tech entrepreneurs with very successful companies already. And there's a bunch of questions to you regarding, if someone wants to enter the space now in digital health, what would you ask them or tell them to avoid in order to go to the market effectively? Probably talking about the barriers that have to do with this cultural or with the barriers that have to do with the healthcare systems, but also with regulation, which is actually another question that you can also address probably, and then we will move to Gemma and Orlando, but also are things getting faster in regulatory because of COVID? The FDA is already relaxing some of their regulations, we know, but so it's a bit, bunch of people want to enter the industry now, so what would you tell them not to do?
Well, so I'll keep it as short as possible because it's obviously a big question. One of the first things, of course, is to decide: are you going direct to consumer or more of a healthcare system-focused approach? We decided to do the latter, work with healthcare sector, which means, of course, you have to jump through all of the hoops. You have to do the clinical trials. You have to make sure that you comply with all of the regulations. Of course, GDPR. You have to decide if you're going to go through the CE marking and medical device regulation. So you have to start, I guess, making those kinds of decisions. Going direct to consumer, you don't have to, in many cases, kind of go that full way. If you do go into the healthcare sector, then just kind of map out all of these things because they are intensive. They take a lot of time to navigate them, and you have to be able to do them, navigate all of these things, regulatory, clinical evidence, and all of that. So I think kind of just knowing beforehand where you're going, making sure you have the time and resources to do that. And if you do, it's an absolutely fantastic field to be in. So I'm glad to hear there's a lot of enthusiasm to enter the field. So that's a micro answer to that. I hope that helps a little bit.
Good. Good, thank you. Questions for Orlando. You're a neuroscience background. There's some questions around relevant therapeutic areas that you think will be affected by the COVID and that will be enhanced because of digital. And actually, someone is citing data, which basically is in your area, which says that the prescription of drugs for the treatment of depression and anxiety have increased 21%. I don't have a source. That's something mentioned, but just as an illustration. I guess mental health, but what else? What else is going to grow?
I mean, I don't have this fear about what is going to happen in the future, but for sure, we are going to be affected for many diseases. And I believe, you know, one of the other things that we need to keep in mind that was mentioned at the beginning, one out of four of the famous cardiologists say that the heart gives you the quantity of light and your brain gives you the quality of life, right? So we need to be conscious about that. They're being locked for many days. I mean, we have seen also in China, there are many neurological related conditions after COVID. So I think, I don't know what is happening in the future, but what I know is that there is a huge tendency and increase in the neurological diseases in the future. So we need to work upon, because digital technology will help us tremendously in that area.
And Gemma, are you seeing some of the questions that are being raised have to do with COVID? Are you introducing new areas of technology and health innovation in your everyday? You mentioned a couple of examples, but here talking about R&D, genomics, artificial intelligence, even devices, medical technologies in the pipeline. Has this shifted a little bit because COVID is there and you might need to approach it from a diagnostic point of view, but also from a therapeutic point of view? Is that changing?
All right, good question. Thank you very much. So within the Ferrer, we launch a number of challenges every year. And this year we did consider a few weeks ago, should we also launch one COVID-specific challenge? And in the end, we decided no. But because of the collateral damage of COVID, a lot of what we're already doing, a lot of the challenges that we are launching in central nervous system can be used already in these post-COVID pandemics, like things related to behavior, solutions, digital solutions related to behavior. I mean, it is well acknowledged that only a small percentage of our health is contributed by the action of drugs or the action of healthcare professionals. A lot of our health is contributed by our behavior, right? Not drugs, eh? So this would be diet, exercise, lifestyle without alcohol or without smoke, compassion, positive thinking, mindfulness, a lot of these. So many of the solutions that we are already exploring within the challenges of the Ferrer for Future program in the central nervous system area are already in this field or in this arena. Therefore, they do have an applicability in the post-COVID era. That's a short answer.
Good, thank you. I'm just receiving more questions, but there was a call for action from the World Organization. As you know, yesterday it was announced that more than 7 billion go to COVID now because of fundraising in different countries. But there's a couple of questions around the topic of public interest, sharing information, and collaboration between researchers, startups, pharmaceutical companies. We still have like 3 or 4 minutes, but I would love to hear. This is a big important question: sharing and collaborating. This I leave all of you to answer from your point of view, and how important is that in the current context to get out of this crisis? Gemma, you want to start?
I'm not sure. It might be a little bit repetitive with what I said earlier. I think that, I mean, if I understood the question correctly, my answer is that the digital health strategies might be shared approaches between the healthcare systems and the industry. So in this way, the focus of all of us is to enhance the yield or to enhance the effectiveness of the digital capabilities. Is that an answer?
Well, I think the question actually is that there's not enough collaboration and not enough information sharing. How digital can change that?
Well, to start with, now I understand you better. Apologies about that. So to start with, the personal health data, the patient data, why do not, for once and forever, give the power of managing this to the patient himself? Let's put the electronic health records on some support, maybe, I don't know, maybe blockchain, some support that makes them protected and unalterable, and therefore let the patient choose at each time with whom which portion of personal information needs to be shared. Of course, one patient will choose not to share the same information with the insurer or with the doctor or with the employer, but we are still living in countries where the level of intervention from our governments is very high. And I do not feel as a patient, I'm not making a political statement here, I'm just speaking as a citizen, as a patient, I do not feel that I have 100% ownership and right to decide where my data goes. So that might answer the question a little bit better.
Joe, perhaps, these kind of things are extremely interesting, If you ask many people if they want to share their data, they say no. Okay, this is the majority of the people because nobody knows that. But what happens if you have a car accident and you're in the ambulance and they need your data to save your life, right? So nobody wants to give, but when you are in the middle of a problem, you hope that they get your data, right? So, we need to find the right balance between the health security or how much we want to give up of our privacy to ensure our health and to continue to improve and extend our life, We have been, close for many days here, and we have recognized that there is nothing more extraordinary than to live a normal life. We want to go back to our normal life and continue to live our life. But we are conscious that if we have the data, we can, in a way, continue to improve our health. And this is the necessary, action that we need to do. The point is how we need to balance this trade-off between health security and the privacy. We are committed to use patient data, but we are strongly committed in this area.
I'm not sure if there's time. Yeah, just a quick comment. And there are different layers of this. On one hand, we do multiple clinical studies where we get informed consent from the participants to collect a little bit more data than usually, including the clinical data, which allows us to go deeper in creating new insights and the potentials there in predicting outcomes, predicting flare-ups or whatever. It's just amazing. And because of the types of data that we get in, it's such fine-grained behavioral data. We can see really interesting profiles where even a simple thing like different types of phones. So the type of phone you have predicts what type of health activity fits best for you even. So these kinds of things that we can learn from the data sets. But then, just like Orlando and Gemma were saying, we always have to balance this with the strictest level of data privacy, and then just always have a very informed discussion on how we do this to create value and knowledge, but always respecting the privacy.
Good, thank you very much. I think it's 2 p.m. we're supposed to finish right now, so it's exactly on time. We've been trying to capture all the questions that were raised by the audience, not all of them. Sorry not for getting all your questions into the panel. Hopefully this will be recorded, repeated. I'm sure you can get access to all of us via Barcelona Tech City. And thank you, everybody. And sorry if these conversations were not lively, as when we are all together in the same physical room, in a little bit more of less virtual distance. But this will improve, and we'll be back to some sort of normality soon, hopefully. Hope you had a good time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gemma, Tryggvi, Orlando, and Barcelona Tech City for the session today.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Gracias a vosotros. Gracias a la audiencia que ha mantenido el interés en esta más que interesante actividad de hoy. Se han dicho cosas muy interesantes para reflexionar muchísimo sobre un sector que era y que es y que sobre todo será estratégico para salir de esta crisis. Barcelona Tech City esta semana hacemos más actividades. Mañana miércoles hacemos una que puede muy diferente porque puede ser muy interesante sobre el sector de restauración, restaurantes, comida. Lo haremos mientras cocinamos un canelón, por lo que puede ser una sesión un tanto diferente. Y hablaremos sobre el origen del canelón y cómo esta maldita crisis está impactando también al sector de los restaurantes, del retail, del pequeño comercio en una ciudad como Barcelona, con un foco también en el turismo. El jueves hacemos otra sesión también muy interesante sobre corporate y startups, porque estamos en una semana muy intensa. Agradecemos muchísimo a vosotros vuestra participación. Encontréis el vídeo en pocos días en el canal YouTube de la asociación y en la página web, en el blog de Barcelona Tech City. Y muchas gracias y hasta la próxima. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Gracias.
you. Thank you.
Bye.